Саламатсыздар, Ынтымактын жайкы чарпаясынын коногу Европа биримдигинин Борбор Азиядагы өкүлү элчи Патрицией Флор айым. Патрицией Флор айым ошондой эле Европа биримдигинин Кыргызстандагы жана Борбор Азиядагы өлкөлөргө коюлган атайын стратегиялык пландардын ишке ашышын көзөмөлдөп турат. Анда Патрицией айым, саламатсызбы? Кош келипсиз Ошко жана Ынтымакка. Алгачкы суроо, Кыргызстандагы сапарыңыздын максаты жөнүндө айтып кетсеңиз.
I'm the special representative of the European Union for Central Asia, and my goal is to promote the implementation of the EU Central Asia strategy. It was adopted more than 5 years ago, and it has a lot of priorities. We want to deepen our cooperation with all Central Asian countries, including, of course, Kyrgyzstan, in such areas as the environment and water management, economic development, the rule of law and human rights, civil society development, education, and actually there are some more. And so therefore my goal with this visit is really to continue our permanent dialogue with the Kyrgyz government, but also the Kyrgyz NGOs and civil society representatives, in order to find the best ways how we can actually work together for peace, stability and prosperity for the Kyrgyz people, which would be, of course, in everyone's interest.
Евро биримдиктин Ош жана Жалалабадда болгон постконфликттик абалга кандай жардам көрсөттү? Деги эле ошол Евро биримдик мындан аркы дагы чыңалуу болсо же чыңалууга кандай таасирин эте алат?
Well, I would like to say that in 2010 everyone in Europe was shocked to learn about the bloodshed and the terrible tragedy that happened in Osh, because of course especially this region, the Fergana Valley, has a long tradition of different ethnic people living together peacefully. And so to see that they were actually driven to confrontation was very troubling. And therefore the European Union immediately gave humanitarian assistance. We also promised and then gave support to rehabilitation of some of the houses and the quarters of the city and the surrounding area that were damaged during the unrest. But also beyond that, we worked together with NGOs on promoting reconciliation and mediation, so that in future we could avoid such things ever happening again. One area that I also think is very important is a project that the EU finances together with the OSCE. This is the Community Security Initiative. This is in order to promote community policing. It is very important in such situations that the people, regardless of their ethnic background, trust the police and trust that the police and the security forces will actually assist them, and even before the conflict breaks out, prevent it and help to prevent it. Overall, the EU gave about 25 million euro in support for these measures, and of course some of them are continuing, like the Community Security Initiative.
Кечирим сурайм сиздин сөзүңүзгө аралжы. Извиняюсь, тысячи извинений, потому что я вас перебью. Например, мисалы, ошол эле ЭКУК же болбосо Европа коопсуздук кызматташтык уюму же болбосо кандайдыр бир дагы көп эл аралык уюмдар Кыргызстанга ошол милициянын ишин же болбосо тартип коргоочулардын иштерин реформалоо аябай узакка созулуп атат да. Сизге ошондой сезилбейби? Кандай учурда тездетүү мүмкүн?
Yes, I agree that you are right that already for many years there have been projects in the field of police reform. Of course, at the end of the day, we, like the European Union or other donors, we can assist your government, your local authorities in doing reform. But of course we cannot ourselves do the reform. So it does not, at the end of the day, really only depend on us. It mostly depends on also then the willingness of everyone here in Kyrgyzstan to move forward with police reform. But let me say a word about community security initiative, because this is different from the other projects. It's very targeted. It means that there are now police officers from European countries that have their own experience, but also from the Balkans and from other regions. And they work in Osh, in Batken, in Jalalabad with the local police officers. And they go with them through the different neighborhoods and work with them and the people in the neighborhoods in order to, establish understanding of what their roles are and where a conflict starts and what can be done by the police. So I do think this is a very concrete, on-the-ground project. And therefore, and I've spoken also with the leader of that particular project about a year ago, and he says that his feeling is that the trust and confidence among these people in the local communities and with the police has actually increased. Of course, it doesn't solve other problems, but therefore let me say that the EU, we know that security, stability only can be achieved if you also promote social and economic development. And therefore, there is a couple of other projects here in the region. I visited one irrigation project near Uzgen, where we actually assist farmers with their irrigation canals so that they can increase their agricultural work and can be better off in the future. And I think that is also very important, and we'll of course continue to do that in the future.
Siz Қазақстанда буга чейин, бүгүнкү Кыргызстандагы сапарыңызга чейин сиз Казакстанда, Өзбекстанда болуп келдиңиз. Мына учурда Ош шаарында жүрөсүз. Жалпы Борбор Азиядагы стратегиялардын жаңыча түзүлгөн кандай бир кызматташтыктар жөнүндө бөлүшүп кетпесизби, же болбосо анын ичинен Кыргызстан менен кандай кызматташуулар күтүлүп турат?
First of all, the main goals that the European Union has for the region, it's really to promote regional cooperation within the region, because of course the European experience is that by working together more closely, by yes, making your borders more secure, but also opening them for trade, for cultural contact, for people to cross, you do actually enrich your own opportunities. You also, your economy can grow better. So therefore, what we see as overall goals is really also to promote this type of cooperation. We have created 3 platforms already where all of the Central Asian countries come together with the EU. There is a platform on water and environment, there is a platform on education, and there's a platform on rule of law. And of course, once a year we also have the ministerial meeting, and Catherine Ashton, the High Representative of the European Union for External Affairs and Security, she visited the region last November, as you know. Now, at the moment, I would like to highlight that very recently, for instance, Kyrgyzstan agreed with Tajikistan and Uzbekistan to do joint border controls, which I think is a very good idea to work together in safeguarding your borders. The EU also supports a couple of water projects which are transboundary. So they are about small rivers that connect like Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, and where for the local farmers it's very important that they find a good way how to divide the water, how to manage the water flow, and also that I think is it's very good really steps that can be taken in the region on these different issues.
Патрисия, чайдан ичпейсизби? Кийинки суроо, сиз кандай ойлойсуз? Албетте да биздин региондогу орчундуу суроо бул. Сиз кандай ойлойсуз? Ауганстандан чет өлкөлүк аскерлерди чыгарып кетүү Борбор Азияга кандай таасирин берет? Деги таасирин береби?
First of all, I would like to underline that how much the withdrawal from Afghanistan will really influence the situation in Central Asia is not independent of our own policies and actions. That I mean to say that of course we know that there are transnational threats even today, which some of them come from Afghanistan, they go through Central Asia, and actually they come to the European Union, such as drug trafficking or illegal migration or terrorism and terrorist groups. So actually, this is not new. And in the sense, it will not be a new phenomenon when the withdrawal takes finally place next year. Also, I would like to underline that the European Union and many in the international community are committed to continue their work and their engagement in Central Asia and in Afghanistan beyond 2014. So that means that while, yes, troops will be withdrawn, but for instance, the European Union has already committed to supporting a number of very big confidence building measures between Afghanistan and all the countries in the region. So therefore, I think that while I do see that there are some risks, yes, of course there can be, some elements of, destabilization. But at the same time, if we can create a coalition of everyone in the region together with the international community, then I think we can really prevent a lot of these risks really manifesting themselves. And therefore the Istanbul process, the Heart of Asia meetings where all the countries in the region actually agree what should be done, infrastructure, railroads, electricity lines, commercial opportunities, and so forth. These are the areas where I think that we must now increase our cooperation. The European Union started a high-level security dialogue with all countries of Central Asia, and so your Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Otto Bayev, he came to Brussels in early June. We had this meeting and we looked at all of the different threats and decided on a couple of steps that we would like to take. Among them, there will be a new drug action plan between the European Union and Central Asia in order to fight the drug trafficking, but also the drug use, because drug use also exists, of course, in Central Asia. There will be a meeting about border security in Ashgabat in early October in order to coordinate what the different projects do. Like the EU has this program BOMCA, Border Management in Central Asia, which we would like to continue also in the future and to enhance so that we can increase security here. And we will also start an expert dialogue about terrorism so that we can better cooperate within the region, but then also with others against the terrorist threat and extremist violence. Last word on this, I think that of course the countries here in Central Asia, if they do institutionalize rule of law, if there is freedom of religion, human rights of minorities are respected, if the police and the security organs work also within that framework, then of course there are much better chances also to avoid any radicalization or to avoid that actually your country or society can be destabilized. So that also is of course from our point of view very important.
Балким сиз азыр эле таанышып чыккан ынтымак көп тилдүү диалогко чакырган телерадио компанияда ишкананы жолуктурсаңыз керек же жолуктурбадыңызбы? Деги эле ушундай сиздин оюңузча ушундай массалык маалымат каражаттары аймактагы тынчтыкты сактап калуу иштерине кандайдыр бир деңгээлде таасирин тийгизе алабы же жардамын бере алабы? Yes,
I think that actually to have radio and television programs in several languages really is very important, because I give you an example, like you know that of course France and Germany fought many wars against one another. Today we are united within the European Union, and there of course exists a television channel like Arte. So they are televising in French and in German, and so it's something that unites, and it comes together with many programs where actually one learns the language of the other side, and young people meet, and so they get to learn to know each other, and so this is a very good actually tool in order to increase understanding between the different ethnic groups. So I'm very happy to be with you today in your program in 3 languages, and I think that especially after the events of 2010, that it's all the more important that people understand each other, and of course language is the primary. It's a primary method of understanding. Lastly, of course, from our point of view, while of course there is always a state language, but within, for instance, the Convention on the Rights of Minorities, one aspect is also to preserve and also to promote the languages of all the people living in a certain country, and so therefore you are also contributing to fulfilling this international standard.
Кыргызстан жөнүндө деги эле мына Ош тууралуу сиздин таасирлер тууралуу бөлүшүп кетсеңиз, биз менен мына келдиңиз, бүгүн көрдүңүз.
Well, it's a wonderful and it's a beautiful country. We actually drove in the car from Bishkek to Osh. So I had a chance to see your very beautiful mountains, pristine mountains in some cases. And of course, if we talk about Osh and the Fergana Valley, then it embodies the rich history and the rich tradition of this region, which actually is a region that is ancient in historic terms, and that has preserved a lot of this cultural heritage until today. So, I'm always very pleased to be here with you. I enjoy the warm weather, even some might say it's hot, but coming from cold Brussels, this is very welcome. And so you have a very beautiful country with a huge potential, like in the old times, also to bridge Asia and Europe through Central Asia. And so I hope that together we can work on this dream of uniting everyone also along this long way, which in old times was the Silk Road.
Siz дагы бир жолу куттуктайбыз. Азыр эле бизге маалым болгондой, сиз дагы бир жылдан ашыкка калып атат экенсиз бул кызматта. Ынтымактыктарга эске салып кетейин. Ынтымактын суроолоруна Европа биримдигинин Борбор Азиядагы өкүлү Патриция Флор айым жооп берди. Аны мен Сабыр Абдымомунов алып бардым.